Hi and welcome back to this very special Valentine's episode of The Bucket List with me, Beth Krista Wilson. Finally tonight, if you're looking to make something special this weekend, then why not try out this recipe by David from Coeur de Chocolat.
Hi, it's David Greenwood-Haig from Coeur de Chocolat. It's approaching Valentine's Day, so I've got a really super easy dish that you guys can do to impress your lady. This is a really impressive dish, but really quite simple to do. You can do it the day before and leave it in the fridge, and then just pop into the kitchen, but bob it into the oven, and it'll look absolutely and taste fantastic. So this is a quick one for you to do. It's called a fondant melt in the middle. There's lots of other descriptions. It's technically a self-saucing pudding, so you don't need a sauce, because as you cut through it, the chocolate should ooze out, and you've got a beautiful sauce. Can serve it with ice cream, can do cream, you could even do custard if you wanted to, but it doesn't need it, it does it all on its own. So what we do is, we take some melted butter, and we just brush it round the inside of a mould. You can use one of these, which is called a Dario mould, that's used in catering, or you can use some of the containers that your pate comes in from the supermarket, that you've got a cupboard full of things that you've washed and left in there, or you can use something like this, which is just a heart-shaped one, which is nice for the season. We're going to cream together the eggs, and we've got 8 eggs in here in total, 4 whole and 4 yolks. So you have to clean that, I've made a bit of a mess there. And we're going to whisk these together with sugar, with some golden caster sugar, and then create a nice cake batter. So I'll take the sugar, just pour that in, and then we're going to cream these together. I'm going to put it into the big bowl because it's easier to do in a larger bowl. And then we'll take these, we'll have to go here because of the lead. A little bit of noise. And what we're trying to do, if you start too fast, this will go everywhere. So we're just trying to cream these together. We want them to go white. So you'll see the yellow now. And as once you've started to incorporate it, we can turn the speed up. You can see how that's increased. I'm going to give it a little more in a second. I'm just going to put the chocolate into the microwave. So we take 200 grams of butter, the recipe will be available, 200 grams of chocolate, so equal quantities of both. These are going to go straight into the microwave. We could put these in a pan and do them in a bain-marie, but most of us have got a microwave at home. We don't want to mess around with boiling water, and I'm going to give that 30 seconds. And that will start. I'll bring it out, I'll stir it a little, I'll put it back in for another 10 seconds, and we'll do that. So it's just starting to melt now. So I'll give that a little stir, just to help it along. It's going back in anyway. Put another 30 seconds on that, and that should be it. So if we see now, we've got a nice smooth and glossy mix. We're going to put this into here. You can refrigerate this for a short while, and it'll just stop, if it's got too warm, it'll stop you cooking the eggs that are in here. But this is not too warm, so it should be fine. We're mixing this gently because we don't want to knock all the air out that we've just incorporated into the eggs and sugar. So we do that. The next thing we're going to do is to sieve in 200 grams of flour. So you'll notice this was 200, 200, 200, so nice and easy. So we're going to fold it in. Anybody that's watched Bake Off will have seen them doing this, taking it nice and gentle, trying to keep all that air you've just put in, all those bubbles. This will rise when it goes into the dishes. And then what we're going to do is we're going to spoon them into these dishes, into the moulds, put them into the oven on 200 about gas mark 6, if you like old money like I do. And they're going to cook for between 10 and 12 minutes. Now, if you're doing these the day before, it's worth you cooking one just so you know how long they're going to take. Because it's really easy to overcook these. Undercooked, they'll collapse. Overcooked, they'll be really dry and not very nice. So you about 3/4 fill these, because they will rise. I'll wipe that edge before we put that in. Depends how hard your appetite is. You see, that's the heart one is probably a sharing dessert rather than a single portion. Unless you're me, of course. Right, we put these straight into a preheated oven and we'll check the time. And we've now got time for a cup of tea. But I think what we'll do is we'll do some chocolate tasting. So let's go and sit down. When we taste chocolate, most of us just put it straight into our mouth and start to chew. So what I'm going to try and do is slow you down, give you a sensory experience, so you'll taste all the elements of the chocolate. Some of them you'll like and some you may not like, but you'll know why and you'll know how to identify them. So we're going to look at it, we're going to touch it, we're going to listen to it, we're going to smell it, and then we're going to taste it in that order. So we're going to use all our senses. We're now going to open it and look and check the inside. What we should find inside here is smooth, shiny, dark chocolate. Sometimes you might open chocolate and you get grey streaks or white streaks. And I've got to check myself because it wasn't pre-checked across there. So you've got nice, smooth, shiny chocolate with a nice sheen. The next thing is to touch. So because you're going to eat this, I'm going to let you touch it. So if you run your finger across the chocolate, it should be smooth, shiny and dry. You shouldn't feel any of those sugar crystals and you shouldn't feel any cocoa butter that would have leached out when you put it in the fridge. The cold from the fridge shocks your chocolate and the cocoa butter comes to the surface. And most people think, oh, it's just moisture from the fridge. It's not, it's cocoa butter. So it's a bit waxy and it makes the chocolate look dull. So I'm going to hold this near the microphone so we get the sound. But the snap that you get there is telling you that those sugar crystals, those fat crystals, sorry, have been bound together properly, and then you've physically got to work to snap them apart. And the higher the cocoa content, the more difficult to break a chocolate piece would be. We're now going to smell it, so I'm going to get you to put a piece of this into your cupped hand. So if you take one of those, doesn't matter how much, you're just going to break it and do that. And then if you lift it up to your nose and have a really good sniff, the first thing you'll get will be chocolate, but there's 1,500 volatile aromas in chocolate. So you'll get things like oak, red berries, like an earthy smell. You might get something that's a little bit like coffee or tobacco, so you have another sniff, because there's lots and lots in there. And most of us with chocolate don't get anywhere near this when we do that. If you break yourself off a square now, put it into your mouth, close your mouth and then pinch your nose just for a second. That isolates your olfactory system. Because chocolate starts to melt at 25 degrees, it should start melting on your tongue immediately. Release your nose, open your mouth a little bit and go, and just suck some air across the top, and you're spreading all those aromas around your mouth. There's lots of things you're going to find. There's 1,500, so there's more than I can suggest here, but you'll get those. And then you're saying, did the flavour come in really quick and then disappear? Is it building and getting more complex now? So you're now tasting other flavours. You might not be able to recognise them, but you're noticing it's different to when you first put it in your mouth. And that's how to eat chocolate mindfully and know that you're going to enjoy it. And there we are. It's a fabulous melt in the middle puddings. But when these come out of the oven, just on 12 minutes, you run a knife around the edge just to loosen them slightly. Put your hand on there just to make sure they're going to come out. And then if we I'm going to cut right down the middle.